Friends, hello and welcome on techguruspeaks.com. Today I would like to describe one of the important classes of the Java collections framework, and that is called the vector class. The vector class is basically a legacy class in the Java collections framework, and it implements a growable array of objects. The size of a vector can grow or shrink as needed to accommodate insertion and deletion on items after the vector has been created. Its signature is as follows. Public class vector extends abstract list, which is the class, implements list, random access, clonable, and serializable interfaces. Java vector class is synchronized as it supports the multi-threaded programming concept. It is also called thread safe because when a object is to be shared among multiple threads, by using the concept of vector class, it will ensure that whenever one thread is operating on the shared object, it should ensure the mutual exclusion property. So it is basically based on the concept of monitor or locks. So Java vector class will ensure that the program is basically thread safe. I mean to say the shared object should be used by only one of the threads present in the multi-threaded programming model. So that is the idea being implemented in Java vector class. The vector class also contains many legacy methods that are not part of the Java collections framework. So now we are going to see the implementation of the vector class in terms of programming. So for programming, we'll use the NetBeans IDE 12.1. NetBeans is a very popular IDE for Java program development. So now we are going to make use of this IDE for our programming. So first I am going to write a program to demonstrate the concept of vector. So suppose we are actually using the vector class here without say using generics. So for this we first need to create the main method. So first we are going to create the main method here. So because without main method we cannot be able to run this program. So vector say v1 equal to new vector. So basically this is a kind of vector which has been created here without using the generics concept. So basically it should be imported here, like java.util.vector class should be imported here so that we can work with it. So it is basically the constructor number 1, so without having any argument. So it is constructor 1 of the vector. So now we are going to add some elements here by using the for loop. Suppose we are going to say add elements here. So there is a method called add method. So I would like to show you it, like add method. By using this method I can add here elements. So basically it is supporting the append operation, so it will be added at the end. So suppose I am writing here say so basically this is doing this operation using the concept of wrapper classes, but it is optional because with the introduction of the say auto boxing concept, you can also write here I directly. So now I am writing here I instead of writing new integer I. So that is also being supported here. That is the concept of auto boxing. So now I am going to display the contents of the vector. So it is basically vector 1. So it is basically v1. Now I am going to show its size and capacity. Size means the number of elements present in the vector. So v1 dot size, so it is showing the size. So now we can also have the capacity. So just I would like to show you the, so basically v1 dot capacity, so it is basically returns the current capacity of the vector. So just I am trying to run this program. So it is showing the present content of the vector, like 9 elements are added here. The size will be 9 and the capacity is basically 10. So that is the information that we can get here from this SOP, that is system.out.println. So it is showing the vector itself after doing the addition operation, that means by using the add operation, which is basically appending elements onto it. Then the size method will be returning the size of the vector, that means the number of elements present, and the capacity, that is the capacity of this particular vector. So that will be shown here. So it is the use of the constructor 1. Now we are going to use the two different constructors of the vector class here. So here I have not used the concept of generics. So now say vector v2 equal to say new vector. So basically now I am going to use this constructor here. So basically you can also provide here a particular kind of say capacity value. Okay, so that is the idea that I am going to show you here. So basically I am using here, so basically I am using here a capacity value of say for example 8. Okay, so this is basically constructor 2. So this is basically constructor 2. It is basically using this capacity value that is I am showing here. So if I am selecting this, like if I am writing here new vector, just for your information I would like to show it here. So like this is the thing that, so this is the idea. So initial capacity value, so that will be shown here. So initial capacity value. Okay, so that is the second constructor. So now I am going to add elements here. Say for example, now I am going to add here floating point number. So suppose for example, instead of considering integer value, I am now using double type value, say 1. So it will be now v2, it will be v2, it will be again v2. So it is also v2, it is also v2. So the name of the vector, that means the vector object reference is v2 here. Suppose it is for example say 11.1. now suppose I am going to consider here the value say 99.9, and suppose here I am taking the value as say 11.1. Okay, so that is the thing that I have applied here. So now I'm going to run this program for the second time, so that you can see here. You can also make some adjustment here. So the adjustments are being made so that it will be showing the exact value in terms of the double types. So that has been done here. So it is showing the size value and the capacity value. So the initial, actually the initial capacity value was 8. Okay, so now we have added here 9 elements. So as it, I mean to say, if you consider the number of elements present here, it is exceeding the capacity value. So that is why what will be done, it will be incremented. Actually it will incremented by 2, so that means it will be multiplied by 2. So initial value was 8, so it will be 8 into 2, 16. So that is the idea. So that is why the size is 9 but the capacity value is 16. Now I am going to use the third overloaded, uh, I mean to say the constructor of the vector class. So now say it is named vector 3, I mean to say v3 equal to new vector within bracket. So suppose now I am going to use here these two, that means initial capacity value and the capacity increment value. Suppose the initial capacity value is 5 and the capacity increment value is 3. So that has been done here. So now suppose I am going to use it. Suppose the initial value is 11 for the inside the for loop, it will be 99 and it will be 11. So it will be v3, it will be again v3, it will be v3 and it will be v3. So just I would like to use a new line character here for ease of presentation. I mean to say it will be easier to present to the audience. So just I am going to run this program. So you can see it here. So for the third vector it should be named 3. So just I am changing it. So just have a look at here how many elements are there. There were basically 9 elements. So what is the initial capacity value? That is basically 5. So actually it will be having how many elements? 9 elements. So if we are having, say for example, 5 elements, up to this it is okay. Whenever we are having say 6th element to be inserted, the capacity should be incremented. So it will be 5 plus 3, 8. Okay, now when the 8th element is being inserted, that means 88. So it is now exceeding the current capacity value, which is basically 8 now. So now in order to make room for new elements, we have to use the increment value, that is the capacity increment value. That means 8 plus 3, 11. So that is why the capacity value is 11. So it is basically using the third constructor here. So that I have shown. So that is the idea that I have tried to implement. Now I am going to use a vector class object with respect to generic. Suppose it is of type string. Okay, it is of type string. So vector string, suppose it is named list and say new vector. So it is basically a vector of strings. Suppose I am adding here three elements, say list dot add say for example hello. Now I am going to add two more elements here. So it will be high. The second element of the vector name list will be high, and the third one will be by. So this is the vector of strings denoted by the reference list. Now I am going to use the constructor for. So that is basically say vector v4 equal to new vector. So now I am going to use this, the fourth constructor, that is basically using an existing collection. So earlier I have created a collection named list here, so that I can use here. If you want, you can also provide the type, like so here, or if you don't want, you can say ignore that thing also. Okay, so but here there is another option that is called the use of the diamond operator, because if it is string type, so it is automatically be assuming that string type. Okay, so it is basically constructor for. So that means mentioning this generics, that is the parameterized type, is not mandatory here. So you can also use the diamond operator to indicate that it is automatically assuming string. So it is basically constructor for using a collection. So now I am going to show you the contents of the contents of this vector here for the fourth one. So it will be vector 4. So v4 will be the name. So v4 dot size, v4 dot capacity, that is the thing that I would like to show you. So just I am going to run this program for you. So so it is showing the size value is 3 and the capacity value is 3. So now I am going to add more elements here. Say for example v4 dot add, say thanks, and v4 dot add within bracket welcome. So that I would like to add here. So now I am going to show here the modified vector, its size and the capacity for vector v4 after adding these two elements. So that you can see here. So the initial capacity was 3, so it will be doubled, so it will be 6 to make room for more elements. So in that way it will be showing you the idea. Now I am going to show you the vector class program and its demonstration in terms of the second program. So now I am going to use it. So suppose I have got say vector of integer, so it is called v equal to new vector. Now I am going to make use of the diamond operator here because it is optional. You don't have to say write integer again. Okay, now I am using this say, suppose I am using this one. So it will be vector v, it will be vector v. So that is the idea. Okay, so it is showing it. So now suppose I am going to add some more elements here in this particular example. Suppose I am going to add here an element at the initial position, suppose 0, and suppose I am going to add here, say for example 5. So then I am going to add another element, suppose by using add element. So it will be added at the end of this vector. Say for example I would like to add here 100. So now I am going to use them again to see the present contents or the status of the vector in terms of its size and capacity. So I am using different overloaded version of the add method, and a new method, that is add element, is being used here. So you can see it here, 2 more elements are added. So the current capacity value is 10, so it is exceeding the current capacity value, so it will be doubled. It should become now 20. Okay, so that is the thing. So there is another method I can use here, say like v dot, so insert element, say like suppose I am going to add here say for example I would like to add here 105, say at 10th position, say for example. So just I would like to show you the result. So it is actually shown here, or you can also change its value, say it may be 95. So it will be added here. So 0 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10. So at this index it has been added, so 10th index. So 95, this particular value has been added here. So now I am going to use the method called toArray method, which will be converting this say vector to an array of objects. Say for example I am now going to use the toArray method. So you can see it here, returns an array containing all the elements in this vector in the correct order. So just this is the thing. So now I am going to show you the elements of the vector. So which is basically stored in the object array. So now I am going to use the for loop in terms of the, say for example, enhanced for loop. I would like to make use of that enhanced for loop, say for example. So now I'm going to show you the result. So you can see it here, object array elements are, that has been shown here. Okay, now I am going to use the iterator and enumeration. First I am going to use the enumeration interface to access the different elements of the vector. So enumerate through the elements of vector. So basically I need the enumeration interface here. So enumeration e equal to v dot, there is a method called elements here, so that will store all these things in the enumeration. I need to use the import statement because it was not added before. So now I will be using the for loop to for or basically we are actually using here while loop. In the earlier step we have been using a for loop, now we are using a while loop. So for the enumeration to work with, so has more elements. So basically we'll be using here what we'll be using here, this line. So like it will be called e dot next element, so that is called next element. So that will show the element that is to be displayed. So just I would like to run the program. So it will be showing the elements of the vector one by one starting from the beginning to the end. So by using enumeration, which is basically an interface by using which you can access all the elements from the beginning to the end. So enumeration e equal to v dot elements, which is the method which is storing all the elements into this enumeration. So there is a method called has more elements, which is going to check whether there are more elements or not. If there is any, that means if it is true, that means, so basically if I check this, so it is basically having boolean type as a return value. So if this enumeration contains more elements, so if it is true, then you can get the element by using the next element method. So in that way the loop will be continued. So now I am going to show you there is another technique to use, that is called iteration. By using iterator. So by using iterator I can also do it. So that is called iterate through elements of the vector. So now I am using here iterator. So it should be imported here because it was not added there at the beginning. So iterator e, that is a reference, v dot iterator. So that is the thing that I have added here. So this line should be added like before. So this has been done. So now I am using here similar kind of structure, though the methods will be different here. So it will not be like has more elements, but the structure is similar. So it is basically using the method called has next. So that I would like to check here, similar to the has more elements. So now it is basically called next. So that means you can also check it. So not E, it is called IT. So IT dot next, that is the element to be looked for. So now I am just running this program for you by using iterator. So it is showing the same elements. Okay, so I can also place here. So now I would like to remove all the elements from here. So now I am going to use the, suppose for example, remove all. So suppose it will be removing all the elements. So now I am going to show you the vector, its size and current vector status in terms of its element size and capacity. So that is the thing that I am going to show you. So that will be shown here. So basically the vector capacity remains the same, that is 20 as it was before. So now the size is 0 because there are no more elements to be considered. So that is shown over here. So that is the idea, how the vector class will exhibit different operations in terms of addition, removal operation, or accessing different elements. I hope you have understood the basic operations of the vector class. So if you like this video, then please don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel. So here comes the URL of my YouTube channel. Please visit my website. Here you will get lot of useful information, techguruspeaks.com, and this is my email.